Hey guys, I hope you're doing well today. It's been a whole month since I rescaped my fishbowl, and I thought it was about time to give you guys a little update on this aquascape. You can see after a month of growth, the plants have grown really well. This aquascape's already turned into pretty much like a jungle already. The Limbophilia has grown so quickly. I didn't expect this plant to grow as quickly as it did in this kind of setup, but now it's grown so much it's covered most of the surface of the water. This is causing some of the light not reaching the bottom of the fishbowl. This is causing a little bit of algae growth, but not a major outbreak. So right now I think it's time to trim back the Limbophilia and do some maintenance on this fishbowl. The first thing I'm going to be doing is siphoning out some of the water from the fishbowl. Overall I'm going to be doing a 50% water change on the fishbowl, but I'm going to be siphoning out the water in two stages. I'm going to remove 25% of the water out first. I'm doing it this way because when I'm going to clean the glass of the fishbowl there's going to be lots of algae matter in the water column. So after when I'm done cleaning the glass I can do a second siphon just to get rid of all the algae matter in the water column. Now it's time to trim back the Limbophilia. This plant has grown so much in the space of a month. You can see it's taken over pretty much all of the bowl. It's even now starting to block out quite a lot of light from reaching the bottom plants. I'm really surprised how quick this plant's been growing in this kind of setup. I'm not using any fertilisers or CO2 in this setup. I'm just using decent lighting and good substrate, and this Limbophilia seems to be thriving with not very much effort. I think this will make a really good beginner plant, especially for people who haven't really kept plants before. It doesn't seem very demanding and it grows really quick too. Originally when I planted it, it was about 10 cm tall, and then after about a month it grew to about 30 to 40 cm in length. So it seems to be a pretty good choice, and it also looks really good too. Since some of the plants in the foreground didn't get a lot of light because of the Limbophilia, I'm going to be trimming back some of the leaves. Some of the Helanthium and green had some yellow leaves, so I decided just to trim them off. I also saw some of the Cryptocoryne Lucens were starting to melt a little bit. I think these were old leaves, so I just trimmed them off. This way the plant will stop wasting its energy on these old leaves and start to produce new leaves instead. Now I'm going to be cleaning the glass of the fishbowl. Luckily there isn't a lot of algae to clean off the fishbowl compared to my other aquascape. It seems like my plan of using faster growing plants in a fishbowl setup has worked. It seems like these plants have been using up all the excess nutrients that are in the water column, which has led the algae being out competing for nutrients. The only problem I had this month is that the plants grew so much that it started to reduce the amount of light reaching the bowl. So what I might need to start doing now more often is trimming the plants back. Then hopefully this will allow the light to evenly distribute itself around the bowl. I think instead of once a month trimming the plants I might do it once every 2 weeks instead. Hopefully when I do another update video next month there'll be a lot less algae to clean off the glass. So now it's time to remove another 25% of the water out of the fishbowl. Then in total we get our 50% water change. You can see the water's got a little bit more cloudy now. This is all the algae and detritus that have been pushed into the water column while I was doing the maintenance on the fishbowl. By siphoning out the water a second time, hopefully I can remove some of this from the water column. Then after when I add the fresh clean water back into the fishbowl, hopefully we'll get some more clearer water. With the water level lowered even more now, I saw some Limbophilia that need to be trimmed. It can be a little bit tricky to trim this plant due to the shape of the fishbowl, but using some curved aquascaping scissors made it a lot easier. With pretty much all the maintenance now done, it's time to fill the fishbowl back up with fresh clean water. I always try to make sure when I'm adding fresh clean water back into the fishbowl that it's at least at room temperature. The bowl hasn't got a heater so it stays at room temperature most of the time. In my house that's about 18 degrees Celsius, so I don't want to be adding cold water straight into the bowl, otherwise it'll shock the fish and shrimp in the bowl. Luckily, since Limbophilia is a stem plant, it can be replanted after it's been trimmed. which is really good because it means you haven't got any plant waste. And also you can give your excess plant trimmings to people who might want to try this plant out. When I was trimming this Limbophilia, there were some stems that had roots on them, so I separated all the stems that had roots on them, and then I replanted these stems in the background of the fishbowl. By doing this, I wanted to create a more bushy kind of look in the back of the fishbowl. This will help to provide some really good cover for the fish and shrimp too. Now here's the bit that can get a little bit tricky with my maintenance. The Limbophilia has delicate leaves, so as I was trimming the Limbophilia, some of the leaves came off. The best thing to do after trimming your plants is to remove all the dead plant matter. If you leave this plant matter in your fishbowl, it can start to rot away. As the plant starts to rot and decompose in the water column, it will start to release organic matter. Algae can then use this organic matter as kind of like a fertiliser, allowing it to grow. So it's always really important to try and remove as much of this as you can. However, in my setup it's a little bit difficult to do this. I'm using a large net in a small bowl, so it can get kind of tricky to get all the plant matter out. In the future I really need to get a smaller net to make the whole thing a lot easier. So with most of the plant matter removed, I'm just going to fill the bowl up with a little bit more water. I'm just going to clean up any excess water that's spilt onto the glass in the cabinet. That's pretty much all the maintenance done for now. The water's looking a little bit cloudy right now. The cloudiness is caused by algae nitrites being suspended in the water column. Since there isn't a filter in this setup, the water can't be filtered. This means all the particles in the water column won't get trapped into the sponges that are usually in filters. But in a few hours time the water should start to settle down and look a lot clearer. I did quite like trimming the Limbophilia today. I was a little bit unsure on how much to trim back. I didn't want to trim it back too short just in case it makes the whole scape look a little bit weird. But since this plant's quite fast growing, maybe I can experiment with how much I trim off every week. I'm also hoping by trimming the Limbophilia back it'll get more bushier too. Usually when you trim stem plants, 2 new stem nodes are produced. Then as the plant starts to grow, it'll get more and more bushier. Here's the fishbowl 4 hours after I've done the maintenance on it. The water's cleared really nicely now, it's almost crystal clear. Overall the scape's looking a lot neater and tidier now. Hopefully by trimming back the Limbophilia, more light can reach the bottom of the fishbowl. The Helanthium turning green's been growing really well. It's really starting to cover the foreground really well now. I think as the months go by and the plants start to grow and mature, I'll start to get that more jungle kind of look. Around 3 months I think this scape will be at its peak. It'll be really interesting to see how this scape develops over time though. Who knows what it could look like in a year's time. I thought I'd show you guys a different angle of the fishbowl. I'm just going to be feeding my guppies some Cryptocoryne nano pellets. This food's really great, the guppies love it. There's a little bit of plant matter at the surface of the water. I was just being a little bit lazy and I didn't clean it up, but after I fed the guppies I cleared it all up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this update on my jungle style fishbowl aquascape. If you want to see how I set up this aquascape, there'll be a little end card at the end of the video. And I just want to quickly say, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more videos from my channel, please subscribe.